Thanks for joining us on the weekend edition of National Focus. I'm Kerdisha St. Louis. Coming up, over 500 projects by Public Works Ministry since Tropical Storm Erika, Sexual Offences Amendment Act debated in Parliament, and 20-foot container heads to Haiti on October 24th. Stay with us for details of these and other stories after this.
Children, yell and tell. If someone tries to abuse you, tell until someone believes you and they do something about it.
For more information on child abuse or to report suspected cases on child abuse, contact the Social Welfare Division on 33 Great Marlborough Street or call 266-3020 or 266-3080.
Thanks for staying with us. An agreement established between the Ministry of National Security of the Government of Dominica and the Ministry of Defense of China is being fulfilled with the handing over of 8 new vehicles to the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force on Friday. The 8 vehicles came at a cost of $986,000. The Honorable Prime Minister and Minister for Finance, Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit, indicated that funds for the vehicles were provided from the Citizenship by Investment Program. The Dominica leader placed a charge on the officers of the Dominica Police Force.
There has to be a greater sense of responsibility in the use of property belonging to the state. The financial rules make provision for how vehicles and property in your care ought to be kept. There must be records of where you're going and when you're back, except for departments that are carrying out special duties, which must remain a matter of secrecy. But outside of that, there must be proper records.
The Honorable Minister for National Security, Rayburn Blackmore, also addressed the officers at the ceremony, which took place at the police compound at Mount Bruce.
This is a huge investment in trying times. I want to really again commend the Prime Minister because the source of funds, of course, is coming from our own revenue generation. He maybe want to speak to that further. But I want to reiterate here today that while there's a need for greater mobility in the police force, but vehicles by themselves will not make a better police force. I would expect, therefore, that the police officers will continue to do what they have been doing.
The departments to benefit from the vehicles are the Marigot Police Force, the Task Force, and the Special Service Unit. In more news, the Honorable Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Environment with specific responsibility for environment, Ivor Stevenson, gave his support to the supplementary appropriations proposed by the Honorable Prime Minister. On Thursday, Honorable Stevenson described incidences in the last year following Tropical Storm Erika, where the Dominica Labour Party government proved its dedication to maintaining good health of the Dominican people with funds from the supplementary appropriation. He revealed that money was spent to the tune of approximately $300,000 for fogging of the island.
Compliments to the National Pest and Termite Control and the staff of the Environmental Department who went throughout the evenings and early mornings ensuring the treatment of the adult mosquito to prevent a widespread epidemic in our country. And Mr. Speaker, this is about leadership, this is about management, this is about really taking care of a population and ensuring that we prevent the epidemics of a disease, especially one like Zika.
Additionally, several health promotion activities were hosted to raise awareness and to control the spread of the Zika virus. One such activity, he pointed out, was the drum project by the Environmental Health Department, which promotes the use of retrofitted drums to collect and store water.
In fact, drums constitute 67% of the breeding of mosquitoes around houses. And the Ministry of Health, through the Environmental Department, they are really undertaking a very serious campaign to ensure that drums within the yards are fitted with proper covers and nettings and the necessary taps so that householders are better able to control the breeding of mosquitoes on their premises.
Honorable Stevenson explained the importance of government's sanitation program to the health of the Dominican population.
It's not just a social benefit, Mr. Speaker. I can say too, because working in the Ministry of Health with my senior minister here, Honorable Dr. Daru, I can tell you, Mr. Speaker, that there is a health benefit for us. Because the achievement at the end of it all is that we would have seen an improvement in the health of our people in these communities. What we are seeing is a reduction of pests that can spread diseases like typhoid, dysentery. So as a result of an improvement in washrooms, we are going to see an improvement in our health of the people of our communities.
The Honorable Parliamentary Secretary to the Ministry of Health and Environment also clarified the benefits of the National Employment Program.
Through the National Employment Program, that our communities are much cleaner communities. We have seen the beautification that is taking place in those constituencies. As a matter of fact, Mr. Speaker, when I drive to my neighboring constituency, I'm very much impressed to see the work that these national employment people are doing that is in the La Plaine constituency. They are doing very, very, very beautiful work in La Plaine. And sometimes I take my lessons and I bring it back to my constituency and let us see how best we can improve. Because we want this country to be a beautiful country, a country that is clean and green.
The Honorable Minister for Public Works and Ports, Senator Miriam Blanchard, has reported that following the devastation caused by Tropical Storm Erika, especially on the infrastructure of the island, her ministry has approved over 500 projects. These projects point to the fact that government is working towards the rehabilitation of Dominica. The Honorable Minister made this announcement at Parliament this week. Senator Blanchard stated that estimation from a report submitted by the World Bank post-Tropical Storm Erika indicated infrastructural damage at $643.6 million. The Honorable Public Works Minister proclaimed that even with this report, government was not daunted by the task of redeveloping the island.
Since Tropical Storm Erika, the Ministry of Public Works and Ports approved in excess of 550 contracts valued at 85 million. And Madam Speaker, before coming into this house this morning, when they got to 550, I asked them to stop. Madam Speaker, of the 85 million in the value of those contracts, roughly 65 million was processed since I moved to that ministry. And I regret that Senator the Honorable Felix Thomas is not here as this is in direct response to his contribution yesterday when he suggested that the ministry was not productive.
In her address at Parliament, the Honorable Minister indicated that within 1 month after the storm, over 95% of Dominica's roads were passable. She also declared that because the government of Dominica places safety and security of its people at its highest priority, her ministry is the major beneficiary of the expenditure comprising the supplementary estimates. Major cleanup post-Tropical Storm Erika included clearing of slides, removal of trees and debris from roadways, and construction of bypasses, which were at a total cost of $12.1 million. She indicated that these did not exclude opposition constituencies.
Bills totaling roughly $2.3 million were submitted by the PAREPs on the other side of the House. Madam Speaker, in the case of Salisbury, we have paid bills totaling $1.2 million. Madam Speaker, $1.2 million. In the case of the Rosa South constituency, we paid over $500,000. In the Rosa Central, almost $400,000. In the Marigot constituency, just over $150,000. Rosa North, $62,000, and in Wesley constituency, just over $6,000. Madam Speaker, the largest single allocation of 29.7 million was made for a project to rehabilitate the island's main airport, Douglas Charles Airport. In the Marigot constituency.
The Honourable Senator also responded to the parliamentary representative for the Salisbury constituency, who did not consider the construction of the York Valley Bridge in Layu as a priority.
At that ceremony, I explained what led to the need for the construction of a new bridge, indicating then that the reinstatement of the damaged section of that bridge following the collapse of the Matthew Dam was but a temporary measure. Could the opposition then be suggesting that we should have waited until that bridge collapsed before constructing a new one and making this a priority? How then can they really argue that they are concerned about citizens of this country? Had this project been put on the back burner, this could have eventually resulted in loss of life and again impacted negatively on the farming community.
The groundbreaking ceremony for the York Valley Bridge was held last week. The Honourable Public Works Minister maintains that a strong and robust infrastructure will contribute to an efficiently functioning Dominica. In more news, the Honourable Minister for Justice, Raymond Blackmore, on Friday tabled the bill for an act to amend the Sexual Offences Act of Dominica of 1998. The bill introduces a number of new provisions and seeks to amend several existing ones in the Act. The prevalence of sexual offences in Dominica has been of grave concern to government as well as civil society for some time. The Honourable Prime Minister, in supporting the bill, told the House that sexual offences is a societal problem and so needs a societal response.
These laws are not going to be sufficient. I am concerned about this, Madam Speaker. Because whether it's 100 cases or 1 case, the number doesn't matter. Because 1 case is 1 case too many. What about our religious community? It is very simple and easy to go on a radio program and criticize the parliament, criticize the government. But what have you done? What are you doing to shepherd your flock? What guidance are you giving to your flock? What admonition are you giving to your flock? What good counsel are you giving to your flock? Are we these days in the religious community simply concerned about money? Tithes? Is it that we have to be beyond that, Madam Speaker? This is not a criticism. It's a matter of us drawing consciousness.
The Honourable Minister for Social Services, Family and Gender Affairs, Lady Catherine Daniel, has the responsibility for child welfare and protection and gender-based violence. She noted the alarming statistics as it relates to child sexual abuse and other forms of sexual abuse on the island.
From the period 2010 to 2015, out of the 1,095 cases reported, 810 of those cases were sexual abuse against children between the ages of 0 years to 17 years. I am deeply saddened when I look at these statistics. It's frightening. It's heart-wrenching. However, the revision of the Sexual Offences Act is a major step in ramping up our efforts to protect our children from sexual abuse.
The bill will address stiffer sentencing for perpetrators of sexual abuse, especially in aggravated cases, sexual grooming of a minor, and will also criminalize the obstruction of justice for minors. Honourable Daniel also took time to highlight some of the measures her ministry has taken as it relates to child sexual offences.
And some of the measures we have taken to address this problem through the Social Welfare Division is education campaigns at preschool, primary, secondary, just to create an awareness among the children. Somebody talk about teaching, we say preschool. Yes, you have to teach the children about bad touches and what is a good touch, what is a bad touch. You have to warn children about, it's sometimes the people who are closer to them. So you have to, as other members have indicated, you have to educate your children so that they have that knowledge to be able to identify that. We have parenting, we have done parenting programs, we have done training for frontline workers, like the teachers, the social workers, police, medical workers, early childhood educators, and childcare providers.
Another area of the bill which is raising debate is marital rape.
It is also noteworthy that by this intended amendment, a husband could be guilty of the offense of rape where he has sexual intercourse with his wife without her consent by force, fear, or the use of drug or thing with the intent to overpower or stupefy. This provision, Madam Speaker, would apply similarly to a wife who rapes a husband.
The current law contains conditions such as a decree of divorce, separation order, or an order for a husband not to molest his wife in order to be considered rape. The Honorable Minister for Foreign Affairs, Francine Barron, put to rest the opposition's concern that the new amendment could be abused.
There are people who are within a relationship and they may not have the options of either leaving an abusive relationship or an abusive home because they may depend on the husband to provide for them. They may not be working, they may have children, and there's nowhere else that they can go. They may not have the financial wherewithal to go to a lawyer to take the matter to court for them. And they feel that there's nowhere that they can turn. And if the law does not allow for them to go and make a complaint to the police that, look, I am in this relationship, yes, we are in fact married, but I am being forced to engage in sex without my consent. We cannot restrict their ability to make such a complaint and restrict it into the narrow confines of whether a decree nisi of divorce has been granted or whether there has been a decree of judicial separation or separation agreement. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
Parliament will resume on Monday, October 24th. You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
Let's have some fun, eh?
I'm not ready for your kind of fun yet.
But everybody else is doing it.
But I'm not everybody else. I'm me, and I want to do well in school.
Well, you definitely get an A for attitude.
I plan to get an A in life, and then I think of your kind of fun.
So what am I to do in the meantime?
You'll survive.
Say no when you're not ready. Use condoms when you are.
Welcome back. Dominica and the Republic of Cuba signed a contract for the renewal of the cooperation agreement between the Ministry of Public Health of the Republic of Cuba and the Ministry of Health and Environment of Dominica on Friday. During the ceremony, the Honorable Health Minister, Dr. Kenneth Daru, highlighted the history between Dominica and Cuba.
Here in Dominica, the government and peoples of Dominica would have enjoyed an extremely fraternal and close relation with the Republic of Cuba for a very long time now. Of course, cemented by the signing of diplomatic relations way back in 1998, from what I recall. And in fact, we would have benefited and benefiting from the Cuban Technical Cooperation Program in the area of health as far back as 1989. So we're talking about even a decade before we officially signed diplomatic relations. We were benefiting from the Cuban Technical Cooperation. A cooperation which has helped and continues to transform the healthcare services here on island. And may I add further that this technical cooperation is amongst the largest, if not the largest, contributor to the health sector during the last 3 decades.
The Honorable Minister, who signed the agreement on behalf of the Ministry of Health and the Environment, believes that this agreement will further strengthen the island's health sector.
Mr. Ambassador, I am convinced that the technical and professional assistance from the Republic of Cuba will continue to strengthen and go from strength to strength, as we can witness here today with the signing of a new agreement, and will continue to strengthen also our health sector. And this new agreement being signed here today would focus on, one, the formation of national human resources, healthcare, of course, training of national human resource, advice, of course, on the implementation of health programs, promotion of healthcare in the population, repairs and maintenance of medical equipment, developing and investigating activities of main health issues. His Excellency, again, I want to thank you personally for your really intimate and personal involvement in ensuring that this agreement is ready to be signed today. And not only this agreement, you keep me on my toes, sir, in terms of letting me aware of what's available and to let me know when we lag behind in keeping our end of the agreement. I really want to thank you for your personal involvement in the day-to-day business, and I think the Republic of Cuba having you a very good representative here in the Commonwealth of Dominica, and you need to be commended for this.
His Excellency Juan Carlos Formeta signed on behalf of the Ministry of Public Health of Cuba.
For a number of years, we have been helping Dominican people. For a number of years, we have a Cuban medical team working here. So we have Cuban doctors and nurses in Rousseau, in Posmo, and now also in Marigo, with a Cuban family doctor working there. So this agreement shows the political will from the Cuban government and Cuban people to continue helping Dominica. We are friends, we are sister island, and we are from the same region. We are Caribbean.
And finally, this news time, as promised by the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit at a press conference last week, a 20-foot container is currently being loaded for shipment to Haiti. Following the impact on Haiti and the Bahamas by Hurricane Matthew, the Dominica leader launched an appeal to the private sector to fuel support for the donation of relief items for the severely affected people of Haiti. GIS News spoke with the National Disaster Coordinator Cecil Shillingford at the Woodbridge Bay Port, while the Office of Disaster Management, along with representatives from the Red Cross, loaded a 20-foot container scheduled to leave Dominica the following week.
It is directed particularly at Lacaille, which is a hard-hit area in Haiti, in the southern part of Haiti. Another container will be stuffed in the course of the coming week for the Bahamas, and that will either go to Grand Bahama or Andros, which would be the two worst hit communities in the Bahamas.
Shillingford expressed that the Office of Disaster Management is impressed with the outpouring of support from the private sector following the appeal.
They have come out, provided a lot of the things that we require, and they're still providing stuff which will go into the second 20-foot container. Some of the items are sugar, flour, rice, biscuits, a lot of water. We have a lot of blankets going out to Haiti that we will not send to the Bahamas, and rehydration salt, and there's also some it's a powder that you put in the water to purify it, so it's a sort of a purification, but normally people are familiar with the tablet, but that one is not a tablet, it's a powder. So all that is going on to Haiti.
The container will leave on Monday, 24th October, and should arrive in Haiti in a week or two. Meanwhile, individuals or organizations desirous of making contributions are advised to contact the Office of Disaster Management at 448-7777 or email odm@dominica.gov.dm. They can also contact the Dominica Red Cross at 448-8280. Coming up next, your tip of the day.
There is a silent, invisible killer in our midst, a killer which largely goes unnoticed as it plies its deadly trade. Its name is second-hand tobacco smoke, which has a far greater impact on persons inhaling this poison than on smokers themselves. Second-hand tobacco smoke is especially detrimental in public places and negatively impacts our national health as well as public health expenditure. Stop this invisible killer now. Say no to second-hand tobacco smoke in public places. A public health message Brought to you by the Ministry of Health and the Pan American Health Organization.
In today's tip, we'll discuss how you can live a stress-free lifestyle. You can start off by eating healthy. Junk foods like refined sugar and white flour can drain off vital nutrients from our body and sap our energy. Eat more veggies and fresh fruits. Be grateful. The more you focus on things you don't have, the more stressed you'll be. Just change your focus to things for which you are grateful and see the difference. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica, and follow our Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. Live streaming is also available on our YouTube channel 24 hours a day. From all of us here on the GIS News production team, I'm Kerdisha St. Louis. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.